Today, we will discuss topics such as the Sukshma Antardasha of Rahu within the Sun period, Surya Rahu, as described in chapter 62, verse 4 of the Parashara Hora Shastra. We're going to dive right into the exact mechanisms of this highly specific, frankly intense, astrological period. We'll be breaking down how ancient scholars mapped out cosmic turbulence and applied it to the human experience using some really precise astronomical mathematics. Here's how we'll break this down. First, the Surya Rahu verse itself, then a Sanskrit breakdown, followed by the planetary influences at play. After that, we'll get into the actual calculations and diagrams, look at the effects across the bhavas, and wrap up with remedies and a quick summary. All right, Section 1, the Surya Rahu verse and its astrological foundations. So, we have to start by looking at the exact scriptural basis for this incredibly volatile time frame. The ancient text you're seeing here explicitly dictates that during this tiny fractional operating period of Rahu, which happens within the much larger overarching period of the Sun, well, specific trials are predicted. The verse actually warns of hunger, danger from poison, and loss of wealth resulting from punishment by the king. You can think of it as a highly specific diagnostic tool meant to prepare an individual for a period of serious friction. Moving on to Section 2, let's do a Sanskrit breakdown and really dissect this verse. To truly grasp the depth of this astrological science, we need to perform what's called a padacheda. It's a meticulous, word-by-word dissection. It's kind of like parsing the genetic code of a sentence to understand its full biological impact. For instance, ano relates to food, implying scarcity or hunger. Pitta denotes intense pain, physical or mental. Then there's visha, pointing to poison, which could mean toxic situations or literal illnesses. Artha refers to wealth, indicating potential financial loss. Raja means the king or, modern government authorities. And finally, klesha signifies deep anguish or legal disputes. Breaking it down like this bridges that historical text with practical, modern interpretation. Next up is Section 3, Planetary Influences and the Foundational Forces at Play. Now, before we crunch the mathematical effects, we absolutely have to zoom out and establish the foundational forces of all the key astrological entities at play here. This whole system relies on natural significators that rule completely different facets of human existence. The text maps them out beautifully. The sun represents the self, the soul, and the constitution of the first house. The moon, that governs the mind in the fourth house. Mars represents courage and deals with enemies in the third and sixth houses. Mercury rules intellect. Jupiter is that great benefic force, governing fortune across multiple houses. Venus dictates conjugal bliss, and Saturn oversees longevity and expenditures. But our main focus today is the clash between the Sun, that pure illuminating soul, and Rahu and Ketu, the eclipsing shadow nodes. Remember, Rahu doesn't own a physical planetary body. It's a mathematical point of eclipse that causes deep psychological and material turbulence. So when that obscuring force of Rahu operates directly under the illuminating force of the Sun, that fundamental friction between light and shadow is exactly what creates the severe distress mentioned in verse 4. That brings us to Section 4, Calculations, Diagrams, and Determining these precise time periods. Let's move from abstract theory over to the precise mechanics. Practitioners use very strict mathematical steps to calculate exactly when this cosmic clash happens. Step 1, you take the total dasha years allocated to the Sun. Think of a dasha as a grand overarching chapter of a person's life, ruled by one specific celestial body. Step 2, you multiply this by the specific fractional rules for Rahu's subperiod. Step 3 involves dividing that product using standard Parashari constants. And finally, Step 4, the raw output isn't measured in our standard hours and minutes. No, it's converted into ancient Vedic timekeeping units, Gadikas, Palas, and Vipalas. This provides an incredibly precise astronomical timestamp. And here, sourced directly from the scriptural text, is the calculation table that maps out those exact Gadikas and Palas for the planetary subperiods. Just look at the precise mathematical allocations for each planet operating under the overarching period of the Sun. It is a rigorous astronomical matrix. If you scan the column for Rahu, which is marked as RH right there, you'll find our exact target values. And that specific output is exactly 2 Gadikas, 25 Palas, and 48 Vipalas. This number represents the precise astronomical duration of Rahu's turbulent influence operating strictly under the Sun's larger period. To put that into perspective for a person's actual life, this translates to a very narrow specific window of time, where the friction of Sun versus Rahu reaches its absolute peak mathematical intensity. That is the exact window that triggers the intense events outlined in Chapter 62. All right, Section 5, let's look at the effects across the bhavas, or house placements. Now we apply all this mathematical certainty to human reality by analyzing its placement across the 12 astrological houses, the bhavas. Because, the overarching period means very little without knowing where in the sky it's actually occurring for a specific individual. The placement dictates the severity. When this Sun-Rahu combination is placed in auspicious houses, like the Kendras, houses 1, 4, 7, and 10, or the Trikonas, houses 5 and 9, the extreme distress from the verse is somewhat mitigated. The strong foundation of those houses acts as a buffer. But if it's placed in inauspicious houses, specifically the 6th house of enemies, the 8th house of sudden upheavals, or the 12th house of losses, it turns that ancient wrath of the king into very real modern-day legal or financial catastrophes. We're talking severe tax audits, sudden litigations, and profound wealth destruction. Finally, Section 6, remedies and our summary on how to mitigate these afflictions. Here's the good news. The Brihat Parashara Hora Shastra doesn't just diagnose cosmic afflictions and leave you hanging. It is absolutely not a fatalistic text. It prescribes precise, actionable remedies designed to counterbalance these specific conflicting energies. Because Rahu signifies sudden danger, and the sun relates to authorities and health, the text prescribes chanting the Mrityunjaya or Rudra Japa for physical protection. For wealth and psychological grounding, devoted worship of Goddess Durga and Goddess Lakshmi is required. And then there are precise material sacrifices. Performing prescribed charities like giving a tawny-colored cow, a female buffalo, or donating silver to balanced individuals. These acts are structurally designed to energetically offset the loss of wealth that the period threatens. To summarize, this precise translation, hunger, danger from poison, loss of wealth as a result of punishment by the king, is the core takeaway of Chapter 62, verse 4. The intersection of the sun's illuminating sovereignty and Rahu's chaotic, eclipsing nature creates a mathematically definable period that demands extreme caution and proactive mitigation. It's a time where authorities, health, and finances are quite literally under intense structural pressure. It really leaves us with a profound question to ponder. Does understanding our precise astrological timing give us the power to change our fate, or simply the foresight to endure it? On behalf of the Vedmata AI family, we humbly request that if you found our presentation enlightening, please share our video widely so that authentic knowledge from Indian Vedic texts can reach the masses. Let us all come together to participate in this Gyan Yajna, sacrificial offering of knowledge. Har 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 Mahadev.